Greetings, greetings. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Tanesia's Locks, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri. I'm Tanesia Ali, your host, your sister, your soul triber. Welcome to the channel. Y'all are beautiful butterflies in transformation just like me, beautiful people. Welcome to the channel. And today's video is going to be about signs of a good loctician. Now, you all know that I have had a wonderful loctician for the last 10 or so years. I have used another one as a backup. My hair is thriving, but it is not just thriving because of my locticians. It is thriving because I have taken ownership over this journey, which is what also keeps me coming on this channel, because I believe that the journey is more than just your loctician. It is more than just the brand. It is about you. It is about the responsibility that you take for your hair down to your loctician. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because although the loctician is not the only thing, the loctician that you choose and the one that you place your trust in, and the one whose energy you mix with each time you sit down in that chair, and the one that you hope will take as much of an interest in the longevity of this journey as you do, is an important decision. Whomever you decide to place your trust in, whomever you decide to give your Benjamins to, that person is critical, and they need to be aligned with you. All right, they need to understand your hair care goals. They need to be someone that you can communicate with. They need to be someone that you can have a rapport with, and they need to be someone that you trust. So if this video looks like something that you want to sit around and talk about, stick around. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have not purchased my book, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, please do that. It is not a chapter book. To the thousands of you here on the channel and elsewhere who have supported my work and who are finding value in this on your healing journey, much appreciation and much gratitude, okay? So without further ado, all right, so okay, so what I want to talk about today is I want to give you at least, at a minimum, 7 things that you need to look for that are guideposts, signposts along the way that let you know that you have a good match in a loctician. Now, if you already have a loctician that's doing a great job, like Ifraj and Naka have done with my hair. Y'all know I had a catastrophe a few weekends ago because I moved way down in the boonies, and I decided to try someone else, and I ended up with some married locks. Now, I can get those all by myself. Y'all know I've gotten married locks all by myself. But guess what? That's on me, and I'm a novice, and I also have my daughters to take them out. But I'm not expecting to pay top dollar, $200 and something to get my hair retightened, only to go home and realize that I have some married locks. So needless to say, I was not very happy. I did a few videos on that, and I have 2 more coming out. But anyway, what you need to look for in a good loctician. Baseline number 1, the etiquette of professionalism and credibility. Is this person, if not certified, are they skilled in doing Sisterlocks? Do they have something to show for their work? Is this a bona fide cosmetologist or beautician or someone that deals with natural hair? The basics in terms of credibility and professionalism. Ethical and responsible in terms of their entrepreneurial etiquette. Are they on time? Is their facility clean? Are they stripping chicken and eating, wiping hot sauce off their face while they're doing your locks? Is this person professional? Do you feel as though you're in capable hands when you're sitting in the chair? Is the environment that you're in conducive to giving you the feel of being in capable hands? Is this person on time? Do they have a system for accepting payments? That sort of thing. Are they professional? Are they in a brick and mortar place? If not, is the environment that you're coming to get your hair done, is it acceptable? All of those sorts of things, okay? That's the baseline stuff. Number two is, I believe that when you are choosing a loctician, you need to have someone who is passionate about hair. These are the things that we don't always think about. A person that's passionate about hair is a lifelong learner. They're willing to learn. They're not totally set in their ways. They're still willing to grow. You can talk to them about innovative things and methods that are related to you and your hair care journey without feeling as though they're so stuck in what they're doing that they're not interested in entertaining anything new. This is a person that's always striving to learn more about their craft. This may be someone who is inventive, who's doing some things on their own outside of the brand, but it's someone who cares about hair. They're passionate about hair. They're passionate about a level of service. They strive, because of that passion, to give not just adequate, mediocre service, but they strive to exceed expectations. And you can feel this in their energy. You can sense it in their level of sincerity. Passion is something that is easily perceived when you're dealing with someone. You can look, the eyes are the window to the soul. You can tell it in their manner. You can tell the way they carry themselves. You can tell by the level of energy that they have if they are passionate about not just Sisterlocks, but about hair in general, about their clients. Number three, are you dealing with someone who can be flexible and think outside of the box? Now, that's important to me because I need to be able to think outside of the box when somebody tells me I shouldn't be using oil on my locks. And I use oil on my locks. And as you know, for many of you who have purchased the I Am Melanin Magic oil, I have been using this oil on my hair for over, 8 years, even though I've had my locks for 10. I think the first year or two, I was using some other stuff, the Talia Wadjet stuff, and I wasn't impressed with that. So I needed something to help deal with my dry scalp. I needed something to cushion my hair against not only the elements, but the ills that can come with having these locks and the repeated retightenings, the trauma, all the coloring that I use on my hair. I needed something to keep my hair healthy, okay? So you need someone who can think outside the box. You may decide you don't want to use the Sisterlocks tool on your head because it gets stuck, like some of you say. You may decide that rather than the larger locks that they place up in this area of your hair, you want them smaller. So you're asking for the grid to be modified. If you need someone who's flexible and can think outside the box, you're not going to want someone who's going to say, well, this is the way I learned how to do it and this is the way we have to do it because this is what the brand says, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you're someone that's by the book and you need that, to each his own, Musapidin wa Isapidin. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just you. I'm talking about the things that I feel are important. I need someone who's flexible. That's one of the very early things I look for in a loctician consultant. Whenever I'm talking to people or I'm recommending people or I think about my own loctician consultants, I don't need a die-hard, ride or die brand prototype. That person is not going to I'm not going to do well with that person. I need someone who can let me be me, who can let me bring my expertise to the table and the things that I've learned about my unique journey and doesn't need to tell me what I need to do because of something that someone said that designed the brand, who may or may not be aligned with what I know my hair needs. Okay, so that's very important. Number 4, this is a very interesting one. I'm going to skip and go to I'm going to call it number 4, but number 4 is, you can see evidence of their hair thriving. This is important. Meaning it'd be nice if they had locks, if they didn't have Sisterlocks, if they had some type of natural hair. It's very difficult for you to put your hair in the hands of someone, for example, who may be wearing a hair weave. I have nothing against hair weaves. I wore them throughout college. Used to do it for a living in college to earn extra money. But the reality is I was less concerned about what was going on underneath those braids and underneath that needle and thread than I am about what's going on with this. That just was not where I placed my emphasis, because that wasn't what my hair care demanded at that time. If someone's going to be doing your hair, then that person needs to show evidence that their own hair is thriving. And y'all, I'm just saying, you got to look at what the person's head looks like. It's like they say, why would you take your finances to someone who's in a bankruptcy right now? Or why would you, we got to think about these things. Sometimes we can make exceptions when it makes sense, because life is not perfect. But if I'm in the hair care business, then I need to look the part. I need to be taking care of my own hair. My own hair should be thriving. And in the best of situations, it would be nice if the person that is doing your hair has had Sisterlocks or has natural hair or something or other. Okay, there's a big difference between someone who is wearing faux locks and someone who may be wearing traditional locks in terms of what they know. Remember, it's one thing to be trained in something. It's a whole nother thing to have a passion. Anybody can read a readout at the mechanical from the electronic control model of a Sequoia, of a Toyota, and try to tell you what's wrong. It's a whole nother thing when a person can come in and they can diagnose and they can troubleshoot what your particular situation is because they have a love of it. Number 5, they need to have experience. One of the things that my loctician that I more recently stumbled upon, the lady who I chose to do my locks while having been on my nomadic journey to the country, mentioned was she has been doing locks for quite a while, but she was more recently certified in Sisterlocks sometime towards the end of summer of last year, maybe 7, 8, 9 months ago. But before I sat down, she pretty much said she had been doing them anyway, Microlocks, Sisterlocks, and so forth and so on, but just didn't have certification, so just wanted to go and get the certification. So based on her being a master cosmetologist, I felt that I was in good hands. But I think it's important to say that there's a certain amount of experience that a person needs to have in dealing with Microlocks or Sisterlocks. Sisterlocks maybe in particular because, Microlocks and Sisterlocks are essentially the same thing. But I say that because that the training aspect of what you come to know when you're trained in Sisterlocks. If we had a training paradigm for Microlocks, I might be saying something different. Not to say that the Sisterlocks training is all that great, because from what I hear, it leaves a lot to be desired. But the issues are, there's certain things that you are going to know by dealing with the hair and by having been in training that you would not otherwise know. Now, it's on you if you decide, I don't like what they taught me in training about this rotation or that rotation. But maybe you learned in your training not to keep changing rotations during a retightening. That was something that she mentioned to me also that I hadn't heard of, to let the hair decide to do what it wants to do in the direction that you're going to lock it in. That's logic. That makes a lot of sense. It made sense to me at the time. However, I don't know that much about why not to, and I don't know what being trained in a particular ideology or methodology would lend itself to me saying, well, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't do that in between a retightening. Maybe you should do that from one retightening to the next. That you need to stay within that same pattern because A, B, or C could happen. Do you understand? Also, other things that you learn along the way when having dealt with Microlocks or Sisterlocks. That experience is very important. Look how long it has taken me to learn some of the things that I've learned, and you all have helped a lot with that. And that did not happen overnight. And it happened through a process of trial and error. But I've learned enough by taking ownership over my hair and this hair care journey that I can come to a situation with a loctician, and I have a lot to say about a lot of things. And a lot of what has informed me, in addition to my journey, is querying my locticians having experiences and conversations with other consultants, talking to a lot of women that have sister locks, and also conversing back and forth with you all here on the channel. So going to someone who's kind of a greenhorn and they don't know much about it other than what they learned in the class may not necessarily be the best decision unless you're dealing with someone who meets criteria 1, 2, and 3, a lifelong learner and somebody that has a lot of passion. Because I will say this, you can oftentimes find a loctician consultant who is in better shape than a so-called ambassador. And that's because of the energy that they bring to what they do and the level of service that they feel very committed to providing. So that's very, very important. Next thing, you need to make sure that you're dealing with someone who is just not a breakdown maintenance person. For example, somebody you just go to just for the service. You may come in and go out and drop in and drop out. You need to be with someone who's concerned and invested in your hair and concerned about the lifelong health and longevity of your style, which means this person should be able to show signs of ownership over your hair care journey. They may ask you questions. They may take notice of the fact that your hair seems a little dry, or you know what, you seem to have waited a little too long this time for the retightening and I'm noticing a little breakage, or you know what, based on what I'm seeing in your hair, I think we should make an exception and you can add an additional 1 or 2 weeks between your retightenings. Or, you know, I'm noticing a little dryness up here. Why don't you try this? You need to get a feeling that the person who is doing your hair cares about your journey and the fact that you want to sport these things for longer than a few years before locks start dropping off. God forbid that should happen. But you want to wear this style and it's something that you've invested in as a lifestyle. And so as such, you want to keep healthy locks and you're not just in this for a short term, which means I do care if some of my locks are married. Hello, because that's going to thin my hair out. I do care if I've had to tell you a lot of times that I hear my hair breaking or you're too tough on my hair. Yes, that does matter to me and I need to see you reflect that in the level of service you provide. Like, these things are really serious. They're very, very serious, okay? Next one, number 7, they can, oh, this is the last one. Yeah, they can pass your questions that you ask them in a way that seems logical and that lends itself to you drawing a conclusion that this person knows what they're talking about and they are worthy of you putting your trust in them. And that assumes that you're asking them questions, all right? Which means that one of the ways you have to vet your loctician is you have to ask that person questions about things maybe you've heard about, learned about. Don't we can just sit in the chair and talk about Tom, Joe, and Rashid, but we can also talk about things that might be pertinent to people in this community, people who are dealing with Microlocks and Sisterlocks. You can ask them, well, what do you think is some of the reasons why people are losing their hair? Or why do you think, you know, the Sisterlocks brand doesn't support oil? What are your feelings on that? How do you feel about clipping married locks versus pulling tangled locks versus pulling and separating the hair by hand? Like, just have some questions that you can ask of this person and make sure they can answer you in an intelligent way, because this can also help you gauge the level of experience they have. For example, you ask them a question of something that seems fairly simple and they say, I don't know. That doesn't really happen to me. I've never married locks before. Okay. Or you ask them about the oil and they say, well, you know what? I think it's okay as long as you use natural products. Well, natural products, that's a beautiful way to that's not enough. Okay, because you don't want to be putting coconut oil on your locks. That's a natural product. You don't want to be putting shea oil on your locks. You need a little bit more verbiage, you need a little bit more explanation there to understand that this person has some experience. What is your remedy for thinning locks? Are they going to say, well, I think we should combine a lock, which is the textbook response? Or are they going to say something like, well, I think we need to investigate what is causing the thinning first. Let's look at some of the possible causes of thinning and then let's approach it from there. And once we figure that out, we can do A, B, C, or D. that sort of thing, okay? I'm grabbing this deck because it just came to my attention just now, and I feel like I want to pull a card. But yeah, those are 7 things that you can be mindful of to help you in your search for a loctician, whether you are, you know, gauging the current relationship that you've had with a loctician that you may have been with long term but are not satisfied. You can look at some of these questions and kind of backtrack. Hindsight is 2020. Or if you're in the market to get Sisterlocks, this is a great bit of contextual information that can help you, along with a few other videos I did on things to look for prior to an install, or how to determine whether or not you have a good loctician or a loctician, you know, tips, things like that. In previous videos, you can search the channel. Or if you find yourself needing to acquaint yourself with someone else in the journey, whether you need a backup or something or other, okay? And when I actually look at some of these things that I look at on this list, and I compare the last person that I experimented with, I would say she had, number 1, business etiquette. She was experienced as a master cosmetologist, but did not have sufficient experience with Sisterlocks. Because if you have sufficient experience with Sisterlocks, or you've had them yourself, you know the dangers in marrying locks, and you take that very seriously. And you also can take more responsibility for how that can actually hurt the longevity of someone's journey. I feel like that's kind of very important. And I don't know, I think it, other than having a visual issue, which could have been the case, I think it's kind of hard to marry several locks in a person's hair if you have enough light, if the conditions are ripe, and if you're really paying attention, and you don't feel like you can just go back and straighten it out by clipping some ends or pulling some hair apart. You know, I think when you're being paid for a professional job, I think you have to be very conscientious about the very things that are like taboo in the business that you are in. There's some things that are in my healing practice that are just taboo, that I have to be very careful about. There's some things that are in the other work that I do, whether it's coaching or whether it's, you know, helping people to work through and gain clarity over their lives with these cards, that are just taboo, that in my profession, if you do these things, it's enough to bury you. So you have to be mindful of those things. So the experience, very flexible. She could think outside the box. She's definitely a lifelong learner. In terms of her hair thriving, I really couldn't see that. And these are things that I needed to have paid attention. It's okay to have 1 or 2 things that are off, but if you have more than that, you want to be mindful of that. Some of this can be a person's personal sense of style. It's like me, I get up every day and I put myself together. That's just me. I've been that way my whole life. I do that in my work as well, but that also impacts the way I approach life and the way I approach my work. I'm very detail oriented. I'm consistent when it comes to those kinds of things. How a person presents can tell you a lot about what they're presenting, and I'm very serious about that. I feel like she was very concerned about the overall health of hair. She could definitely pass the test questions in an articulate way, and was flexible and could think outside the box. So we're talking about 2 areas that might have been a little bit shaky, and that's when the onus is on you to determine how much weight those areas have. That's when you, in terms of your personal preference, have to determine how important that particular thing is. So that is my list of 7 suggestions for the things you should look for in a loctician, and how to know if you've got a winner or not. For those of you who want to stick around for me to pull one of these butterfly oracle cards for life changes, let's see what the message is for you today. Not a leaf falls from the tree without the permission of its creator. Everything is being governed by a higher energy, a force field that is out of our hands. So if you're looking for a message today, it could just possibly be in these cards. So let's see what comes up for my Sisterlocks body. The card we have is motivation. And underneath that, we have take the next step. So if there's something you're considering doing in your life and you find yourself procrastinating or dragging your feet, If you're not willing to go to work for yourself, who else are you going to go to work for? You're the most important person in your life. If there's something that you've been sitting on or there's something you've been questioning, this card is telling you to take the next step now. Get motivated. Put on your orange, get in your sacral chakra energy and pursue the juiciness of life, whatever it is that you are needing motivation for, or whatever it is that you've been motivating to do. The time is now. Take the action now. There's something important that is needing you to take the first step, that is needing your masculine energy, that is needing you to be focused and to be fired up about something. That every bit of now and doing it now and the timing somehow is important. So what is it that you're supposed to be doing that you need to take the next step on? What is it that you feel motivated to do? Or what is it that you need to take the next step for to drive your motivation? Sometimes the motivation doesn't always come, and that's something important I say on my spiritual channel, Butterfly Transformations. We're always looking for the feeling and the motivation to do something. That's not going to always be the driving factor. Sometimes you have to step right into your solar plexus energy. You have to step right into your masculine energy, and you have to take the action first. And it's the action that will then drive the motivation. So determine which side of that equation you're on. Are you at the point where you need to take the next step because it'll help you get fired up and get motivated because there's something that you really need to do that has a timeline to it? Or are you in a space where you're super motivated about something, but you're in analysis paralysis and you just keep waiting for a sign, and because you keep waiting and overanalyzing something, you won't take the next step? This is you giving yourself the big yes and taking the next step. Don't wait. For some reason, time is of the essence. Both of those cards that came up have a similar message, all right? And underneath that, we have this card of the sun. Paint the sun back into your sky, and we have you moving away from a situation. Okay, so the second message is you realizing that you can have your life the way you want it, and there may be something in your life that is a threat to your security or is a threat to what is in your highest good, and you need to move away from that. Now, for some of you guys, this could be a message pertaining to tie in between both messages, which is maybe there's something in you that is encouraging you to move away from a situation, and you have been refusing to let something go, to let a person go, or to let a situation go, or to no longer give life to something. Okay, shine your sun somewhere else. Love you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Shine your light as bright as you can shine it, and don't let anything stop you from the pursuit of your passion and the pursuit of whatever it is that is an ingredient to your personal happiness. And please stop by I Am Melanin Magic and check out the Magical Hair Growth Serum and the premium hair oil to keep your hair healthy, to keep it strong, and to help you bounce back from any hair trauma, any hair loss, or anything like that that you're needing in order to build the capacity of your hair, to build the strength, and to reconstitute your hair. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Be blessed, because you already are.